Okay, now I think we got a live stream open. At least it looks like it's connected.
And you have to press start recording, right?
Well, it says to hit it for stop, so that means we must be recording, which means everything you say right now is permanently being saved on the internet for all time. People 100 years from now will be hearing this.
I don't know if the world will be around in 100 years, so
I suspect.
yeah, we'll see.
Oh, let's do our intro.
I think the end of the world will happen before then.
I don't think so.
Welcome to the Critical Christian Podcasts. We're your hosts, Dan
and Justin. We ask critical questions about the Bible and provide mostly questionable answers. And this week we're going to be doing Exodus chapter 10 and 11. We're going to be concluding the plagues. We're going to be finding out what God's master plan is through the plagues. And we'll see if Pharaoh has a change of heart, either purposely or by God's doing. Or both. It can be both. It's probably both.
What he said.
Exactly. So the previous plagues, some of them were mild, some of them pretty severe.
Just like I like my salsa.
Yeah, you know what the
mild, not severe.
You don't like the spicy salsa?
No.
Yeah, you don't strike me as a spicy salsa guy.
I also like them when they're not chunky. You know what I mean?
I mean,
the soupier the better. Anyhow,
at least I won't have. You don't have to worry about me eating your salsa.
I like that.
I like that chunky, spicy salsa.
Yeah, that's gross.
Anyway, so
yes.
Right. Speaking of spice, it's gonna get real spicy real fast in chapters 10 and 11.
That it is. We're gonna spice it up. We're gonna be like that chef that goes bam.
Yeah, and you might be wondering, God, why would you do all of these plagues and allow Pharaoh's heart to harden and soften, and then harden and soften, and then harden and soften, so on and so forth? Well, as it turns out, you had something.
Nope, go ahead.
Well, we're about to find out. Chapter 10 starts out with an explanation.
Oh, neat.
So we get an explanation because, listen, God could have done one plague. He could have done two plagues.
He could have done zero.
He literally could have done zero. He didn't have to do any of these plagues. None of them are really necessary. Actually, this brings up a good point. I had a friend bring this up, talking about the plagues. The goal here is to maybe show how awesome he is through the plagues, you know?
Did we say hello to people or no?
No, we don't have to talk to the...
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Got to stay on point. Okay, so God
Hi, guys.
Okay, Dan wants to say, hey, guys.
There's two of them.
I know. Listen, the fans adore you.
Aw.
So God wants to show off. He wants to make a lasting name for himself. He wants to show everyone how mighty he is. That he can kill babies. And but the thing of it is, what would be more impressive? The plagues, or just magically teleporting all of your people out of Egypt, like a rapture event, except they're raptured from Egypt and then put into the destination.
You know what I think would be more impressive than that? A rainbow.
Stop it. We're not even. Okay, so the plagues, obviously God has a reason for them. I don't think it's the route I would have chosen. I would have went with the teleportation route. But let's jump right into chapter 10 and see what.
And I just want to say before we start, you know how I said that the red water was because of berries?
That was the worst theory I've ever heard in my life.
Okay, but guess what? There's actually some supporting proof in this chapter.
I'll believe it when I see it.
You're going to see it tonight.
All right, we'll see what happens. All right, chapter 10, verses 1 and 2. Let's have it.
Then the Lord said to Moses, "Go to Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart and the heart of his officials, in order that I may show these signs of mine among them, and that you may tell your children and grandchildren how I have made fools of the Egyptians, and what signs I have done among them, so that you may know that I am the Lord."
It seemed pretty conclusive now.
Yeah, God sure showed those Egyptians what fools they were.
Right. I mean,
the ones that are still alive.
yeah.
There's
And the cattle, the livestock that got killed 3 times.
They learned their lesson.
The damn cattle had it coming. Which brings up a really good point. Why are the animals being punished?
I assume it's just an extension of the people's. Animals don't have souls, so it doesn't matter if you kill them.
Yeah, but they do suffer.
Well,
and there seems to be.
Yeah, I was saying he made it so they didn't suffer, but I'm pretty sure those were some pretty sufferingly deaths.
Well, but okay, let's not do a huge rabbit trail on this because we got to get through all 2 chapters tonight. But just a brief aside, I think according to the biblical narrative, the preference, right, the ideal world would be a world in which animals didn't suffer.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because theoretically, before before the fall of Adam and Eve, animals weren't eating each other.
Yeah, before Noah's Ark, we didn't eat them.
Right, and then also we read in Micah chapter 5.
Yeah.
And also in Isaiah chapter 11,
right.
that, the lion is going to lay down with the other animals, and the child is going to play over the hole of the snakes.
And Judges 21 too.
Exactly. Wait, what?
Go ahead.
Judges 21? I don't know nothing about it. I don't think that there's anything about animals.
All right.
Anyways, but the fact of the matter is, there's, according to the Bible at least, both at the very beginning and at the very end, there's going to be a world, or there was a world, in which animals didn't suffer. Right?
Right.
So it seems like that is the preferred scenario, a world in which the animals don't suffer.
Right.
Right? So it just makes you wonder, what sin did the animals commit that they got lumped in with the suffering of humanity? Kind of wild, huh?
Yeah.
Just saying. Seems a little bit cruel.
No, it's fine.
This is what they get for not being a good companion for Adam and forcing God to make woman.
That's right.
they should have been better companions from the beginning.
Yeah, they should have been more willing to try things out.
This is why people end up in therapy, Hey, what were?
Yeah. So this is pretty funny. I have a friend who says God must have a sense of humor, but I don't think this is what he meant.
I don't think this is the part of the book where humor comes out.
Really?
Well, he's executing people, basically.
Yeah. It sounded better last time. So
It sounded better in your head?
That's exactly, yeah.
I understand that.
Whatever.
Yeah. Anything else?
Not anymore.
It is interesting, though, that...
Oh, I want to say... Oh, wait, go ahead.
Well, I want to say, God is saying here in verse 1 and 2 that he wants to perform these signs and wonders among the people, among the Egyptians and the Israelites, so that they can tell their children and their grandchildren, and there's like this lasting memory, that you'll be able to... But if that's the case, if this is such a memorable event, one must wonder why the Egyptians weren't telling people about it. That'd be crazy.
What do you mean?
Well, if this was such a big to-do, then you would think the Egyptians would have been like, oh yeah, and this one time.
Well, weren't they?
No.
What do you mean, no?
They were writing things, but they didn't write about specifically this.
You said you showed a couple sources last week.
I showed you one source. Yeah, it's in the ancient Near Eastern text relating to the Old Testament.
Okay.
Where roughly during the same time period they had
bloody water.
Some water running of blood, and they had some sickness and whatnot. But I think that's altogether different than having like 10 properly defined plagues. And like Moses coming before Pharaoh, and you know what I mean?
Again, I'm not sure if there were 10 properly defined plagues.
Yeah, that's true.
I think there might have been a couple that cascaded into others that looked like more than one plague.
Yeah, I agree. From like a historical perspective, that seems more likely. that there was some sort of really bad calamity, and then those the various plagues were like semi-related to each other.
I mean, all of that could happen just from the bloody water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the water turning to blood could really do a lot of damage,
right?
Pretty quick.
Even if it's just like fermented berries or something.
Not fermented berries.
Yeah, who knows? But I like that I have proof in this chapter. Okay?
I can't wait to see the evidence of the flying berries.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's read verse 3 and we'll move through this.
All right, let's do it. So Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said to him, "Thus says the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, how long will you refuse to humble yourself before me? Let my people go, so that they may serve me."
Is that how he said it?
He did, yeah.
What kind of tone do you think he could actually take with Pharaoh?
Moses, I'm sure it was like, Aaron, you tell him.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. It's possible that Moses didn't say any of this. This is most likely just Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
Moses can't talk, remember? He's got a stutter. Speech impediment.
Yeah, I doubt Moses has the, chutzpah to actually say anything to Pharaoh's face.
Yeah, actually. I mean, it's hard to say. Moses did some weird things in the book of Exodus. He had some good righteous indignation over the golden calf situation.
Yeah.
It's easy to have that kind of righteous anger when it's against your own people that can't do anything about it. Then whether you're in front of Pharaoh, who could have you decapitated.
Yes.
You had some notes here on.
Did I?
Verse. Yeah, you did.
No, I got nothing.
All right, we'll move on to verses 4 through 6. This is where the fun stuff starts to happen.
For if you refuse to let my people go tomorrow, I will bring locusts into your country. They shall cover the surface of the land so that no one will be able to see the land. They shall devour the last remnant left you after the hail, and they shall devour every tree of yours that grows in the field. They shall fill your houses and the houses of all your officials and of all the Egyptians, something that neither your parents nor your grandparents have seen, from the day they came on earth to this day. Then he turned and went out from Pharaoh. Funnily enough, that's a word. If this were in the New Testament, people would be wearing bibs and bringing out their knives and forks, ready to dip those locusts in some wild field honey,
Well, John the Baptist did some locusts,
Oh, did he? I didn't know.
I can only assume that's who you're referring to.
I think so, yeah.
Although that wasn't exactly a delicacy. That was something that you did as a form of great humility and piety because you were living out in the desert region.
I don't know. I think like honey covered anything is probably not going to taste that bad.
Yeah, I know. Honey's really good.
Right.
And I've had like grasshopper before, which I can imagine is similar to locust, right? It's not something I would look forward to.
I had a sucker with a scorpion in it.
Oh, what?
You know how they make these weird suckers?
I don't know anything about scorpion suckers.
Are you serious?
I've never. Where would I get one?
The candy store.
Wait,
adult candy store.
What?
I don't know.
What is an adult candy store? I feel like you and I have very different lives.
I think so.
So there's adult candy stores?
I don't know. They're not. I mean, they must if there's scorpions in them.
Apparently, you don't want a kid to eat this. Well, I mean, I guess if you can eat it, a kid can eat it, right?
Maybe.
Or is that?
No, they take the stinger out. Because that would hurt a lot. My niece likes to buy me weird stuff for Christmas to watch me eat it. Oh, may God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
So Okay, scorpion suckers aside.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. The locusts. Have you seen locusts before?
No, but I've heard them.
Yeah. Like it's if you ever seen a locust invasion, it's not pretty. Not good at all. And they're not just gonna eat your crops. They'll eat your clothing.
Eat your face.
They'll eat all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
They're not. I mean, they're not like gnats. They're not gonna fly into your ears, your nostrils.
Well, I don't know about that.
I mean, listen, the gnats had to have been horrible.
Right. But, I mean, this says they'll cover the surface of the land. You know what I mean? So you can't see the land. That's a lot of locusts.
That's a lot of locusts. Yeah, it really is.
I mean, you thought gnats were bad. Try breathing in locusts.
I think they would get stuck in the throat.
Yeah.
They're not tiny little fellas.
No. But it would just feel weird, you know, like feeling them flying around inside you until your stomach acids kill them.
Well, there's a thing here in this verse that is interesting. It says that it's something that neither your parents nor your grandparents have ever seen, which makes you suspect that maybe locusts in Egypt have happened before. Like they're aware that locusts are a problem sometimes. But this is going to be so severe. It's going to be unlike any locust event that you've ever seen in your whole history. I wonder how seriously they took that. Because if they're semi used to having locusts, then when you get a threat of a really bad locust, they might be like, well, what's a locust, right?
You talk amongst yourselves.
A little locust here, a little locust there, you know.
Because I wonder if they did have locust issues back in the day.
Well, it was pretty common in the ancient Near East to have problems with the locusts or the loci.
What year was that?
Locustuses.
Locustuses. Yeah. What year was that?
Year was what?
This thing.
What thing?
The plagues.
I mean, time period?
Yeah.
Be like the Middle Bronze Age.
And what number? What year? What number?
No one knows what number it is.
Just guess.
I mean, according to the Bible, it's about 1445.
Was that so hard?
Well, but that's not a precise. I mean, we don't really know if that's anywhere.
Yeah. Something.
Doing ChatGTP?
I was, but it just went straight to the Bible, even though I didn't tell it I was talking about.
What did you ask it?
I said, did locusts plague Egypt in the year 1445 BC? I didn't say anything about the Bible.
What were you expecting?
It to go, oh yeah, here's some farmer's almanacs.
You're expecting ChatGTP to be an archaeologist and give you archaeological data for the year 1445?
Yes.
It's nowhere near that good.
Well, free to disagree, because I think it's pretty good.
Well, it's only going to search the publicly available text. It's not going to search any academic literature.
You don't think?
Oh, of course not. Like, I've got a bunch of academic literature on my shelf that will never show up in ChatGTP because it doesn't have access to it. It's behind paywalls.
We need to break those paywalls down.
Well, that's what I'm saying. ChatGTP only has access to like publicly available data. It doesn't have access to academic data.
Yeah, all right, whatever.
So you're not. That's one of the reasons why it typically doesn't cite its sources. Like if you ask it to cite its sources, a lot of times it won't do it.
No, it will. There'll just be fake ones.
Or just makes them up.
Funny trying to look them up.
Well, there was a lawyer that tried to use ChatGTP that got caught because it was making up fake court cases.
Yeah, I mean, I still take ChatGPT over like representing myself though. So
yeah, I would imagine so. Anything else about these locusts?
Locusts were definitely a thing in ancient Egypt, even outside the Bible.
I told you.
No, I'm telling you.
I already told you they had locusts.
Yeah, but I'm telling you that what you said was true.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I'm fact checking you. Yeah, fact checking you live.
Yeah, I don't mind being fact checked. I mean, only JD Vance has got a problem with that.
Yep.
Should we read verse 7?
Or
did you have
yeah, so I did have a little more to say. I don't know why we're in such a hurry.
Because we're doing 2 chapters today.
Okay.
And we don't want to be here till midnight.
I don't mind, but
You know how we do with the sides.
yes.
Yeah.
So, I just looked this up, and it says if you're breathing in locusts, you'd probably get pneumonia.
Wait, breathing them?
Well, there's a lot of locusts. I mean, you were breathing in the gnats.
Yeah, but locusts aren't. They're like grasshoppers.
Yeah,
in
well,
size. How do you breathe in a grasshopper?
I'm sure you could still breathe it in.
See how?
Anyhow, it says they were probably die in about 30 minutes.
A locust is anywhere from a ½ inch to 3 inches in size.
Oh, I can take that much.
Look at that thing.
I could take that much easy.
You gonna breathe that in?
I take 6 to 8 inches regularly.
When was the last time you breathed in a fly?
Accidentally, probably.
If you haven't breathed in a fly, I don't think you're breathing in a locust. I seen a cat eat one.
Yeah.
But that was different.
I'm just saying, I bet you could breathe one in.
Yeah. I think you'd choke.
I think you could breathe it in, just go. I don't know. I think so. All right. If it was the only thing around you and they were flying around all over the place, you don't think you'd breathe one in on accident?
Breathe through my nose. Why do you think I'd be? I'm in a swarm of locusts. Just what? What
well.
dream scenario do you have in your head right now?
All right, well, it'll crawl up your nose. All right, let's go on.
All right, let's move on. Verse 7.
Yeah. Pharaoh's officials said to him, "How long shall this fellow be a snare to us?"
I love when they say fellow. Why do they do that in the Bible? Sorry, it's just
silly.
I know there are educated professionals doing these translations, but sometimes they use words. I'm like, who says fellow in 2024?
Mm-hmm.
This is an updated translation, too. This is not like from 1970. All right, sorry, go ahead.
All right, send the people away so that they may serve the Lord their God. Do you not yet understand that Egypt is ruined? So what's the likelihood that his officials would actually be so blunt about this situation?
Yeah, that was what I was thinking, because, like, okay, let's imagine that, like, I don't know, these people just survived the prior plagues,
and
now Moses is like, hey, there's going to be more plagues, by the way, and you're not going to like them. Why would they be, like, challenging this whole situation?
I mean, especially after all that's going on, I would think the Pharaoh would be like, don't talk back to me. I'm gonna cut your head off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Hostile work environment.
Right. I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's good advice, though.
I mean, I got the Pharaoh that I got the feeling that, anybody who wasn't the Pharaoh basically spent most of their time buttering him up. And you told me all about the very weird ways people buttered him up. I guess I think of the war in Ukraine, where a lot of the multi-billionaires were like, hey, Putin, cut this out.
Yeah, this isn't in our favor.
Yeah, and because, they assumed they held some sway. And then Putin was like, looks like you fell out of a window.
Oops.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, that sounds similar to the, these guys talking to the Pharaoh,
Yeah, that's a good point, because the way that it's worded it sounds a little bit brash. But, I mean, Hebrew can just be that way. It's not as... ancient Hebrew is not as precise sometimes as English, and so it can sound that way. But I bet in reality, this conversation would have been like, hey, Pharaoh, I mean, I don't want to impose on your will or anything, but, if the locusts too come through, it's going to be a bad day. Maybe we can not test this God any further, being that it's killed all of our cattle and we don't have any clean water, like that.
And flip it around so it's Pharaoh's idea.
That's right. We'll tell everyone it was your idea, Pharaoh. Don't worry, you'll get credit for it. But I would imagine Pharaoh's ego is on the line here, because he's already been like, I will not let you go.
Yeah.
And Moses, like, you will let us go. And so now it's like, when you got like a 5-year-old just being stubborn.
Yeah.
Like, you have to break their will. That's what I imagine is happening.
I get it.
And then every time the Pharaoh does budge, God is like, I don't care, I'm going to harden his heart. Crazy.
Phrasing. I had a funny phrasing joke earlier, but you missed it.
Oh, what'd you say?
Nothing. All right.
Well, now I want to know the joke.
Well, you have to check out the recording.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'll rewatch this.
All right.
I will not be rewatching
it. Yeah.
As much as I enjoy doing the recordings, they're long.
They are.
Have you seen these things? All right, verses 8 through 11, eh?
All right. So Moses and Aaron were brought back to Pharaoh, and he said to them, Go, serve the Lord your God. But which ones are to go? Moses said, We will go with our young and our old. We will go with our sons and daughters and with our flocks and herds, because we have the Lord's festival to celebrate. He said to them, The Lord indeed will be with you if ever I let your little ones go with you. Does that mean he's saying I'm going to kill you? Like I'm going to send you to the afterlife?
That's a good question.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah. It says, the Lord indeed will be with you if ever I let your little ones go with you.
Yeah, because he's like, I ain't going to let them go with you. The only way that's going to happen is if you're dead.
That's actually a really good point. It definitely, I don't know if it sounds like a threat as much as he's saying that, like, it certainly would have to be the Lord's doing if I ever let that happen.
Yeah.
Like that would only happen by the hand of God.
I like my answer better.
I mean, it's a fine answer. It's a great answer.
Thank you.
I mean, I have nothing against.
Thank you. Well, plainly, you have some evil purpose in mind. No, never. Your men may go and serve the Lord, for that is what you are asking. And they were driven out from Pharaoh's presence.
Dun, dun, dun.
Did that? So your men may go, but not the little children.
No kids.
Yeah.
Well, he clearly doesn't want them to run off.
Well, yeah, because he's like, all right, you guys can get out of here. Except, wait, don't take the children because I still need a bargaining chip. You know.
That's what I suspect. Yeah. He wants to placate Moses and Yahweh, but doesn't want to give up the supposed labor. I don't want to call them slaves. Not really.
Well, yeah, I mean, right. Of course, he doesn't want to give them up, but yeah.
Right. This is the servants.
No, there was another word you used at one point.
Probably, I forget. A lot of words for it. Just forced labor, though. They're tributaries.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. You know, that's what it feels like. I mean,
what do you call someone that pays tribute?
Tributary?
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, what it is.
That's what I'm going with. You're the English major. I don't know.
Oh, nah.
All of this rests on you now. If I'm saying the wrong word, it's 100% your fault.
I have a really low GPA, so.
But yeah, I think you're right. Pharaoh, I mean, obviously Pharaoh here. Hold on to something, even if that something is just the kid.
Okay, are we done with this part?
Yeah, but he's going to need the kids.
Yeah.
Because all of his kids are going to get wiped out soon.
Oh,
at least the firstborn.
That's sad.
It is sad.
All right, are we ready?
All right, let's ready. Verse 12 and verse 13.
Are we ready?
I mean, it sounds like.
Are we ready? This is it.
All right.
All right. Then the Lord said to Moses, Stretch out your hand over the land of Egypt so that the locusts may come upon it and eat every plant in the land, all that the hail has left. So Moses stretched out his staff over the land of Egypt, and the Lord brought an east wind upon the land all that day and all that night. When morning came, the east wind had brought the locusts and the berries.
Didn't say anything about berries.
Well, reading between the lines there.
This is locust.
And locust and berries.
This is locust.
Well, the berries came earlier. But my point is...
Clearly, locusts come from the east.
My point is, isn't this interesting? That
it's not interesting at all.
This wind could easily bring 7 trillion berries into the Nile.
I don't think so at all. That's insane. I'm going to send you out to get your brain checked.
You're telling me God couldn't send 7 trillion berries into the Nile to turn it red?
God is not sweeping 7 trillion berries from various far-off countries and sending them into the Nile. Why wouldn't it just say that?
What?
If God was really going to make the water buried, why wouldn't you just say, hey, I'm going to collect all the world's berries and throw them in your water?
Probably because back then people wouldn't understand. I mean, there's a reason why
they didn't know what berries were?
No, they didn't understand how berries could move so far.
Oh, they don't need to understand it. They just need to communicate it.
Nobody's going to be impressed if they go, hey, Pharaoh, somebody dumped a bunch of berries in the Nile. Pharaoh's going to be like, does it taste good?
I mean, it sounds like punch. I mean,
it does sound like punch.
Sounds like a gift, to be honest.
But then, of course, they fermented, and then...
So even better, berry wine. I mean, this is a party.
But then the fish ate it and died.
Listen.
And now you have fermented fish.
If Moses and his God brought trillions of berries that went into our waterways and fermented and turned to berry wine, I'd never let them go either.
You know what? I still feel like this supports it, all right? I mean, it's talking about a really strong wind that's bringing in a bunch of locusts. And locusts got away more than berries. Right?
I think it's insane.
How many berries per locust do you think?
0. There are 0 berries per locust on the east wind.
Yeah, agree to disagree. I'm looking for other clues too, though, all right?
I'm sure you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the locusts came on the east wind.
With the berries, yeah.
With no berries.
We'll see.
What if there was 1 berry per locust and the locusts were riding the berries like they were a horse?
Yeah. Why not?
I mean, it's not going to happen.
But
think they could carry the berries.
Okay. So if there were 7 trillion locusts, this would work.
If there were 7 trillion locusts,
mm-hmm.
and they were carrying the berries from other locations in the world,
mm-hmm.
they could theoretically then get berries into Egypt. But then you would have to wonder if the order of events is wrong, if the locusts and the blood water showed up at the same time.
Well, I don't know.
Not a matter of where it grips it. It's a weight to size to weight ratio.
Nope.
Monty Python.
Oh, I don't watch that kind of stuff.
Talking about how coconuts migrate.
Oh, it's okay.
Ever seen that?
No, I'm sure I have. It's just that's not my type of humor, you know. I go for something a little more highbrow.
This is not that.
Listen, I'm sorry. British humor is not. You know, it's not in your face. It's more like, oh yeah, I get it.
Guy with English degree doesn't like British humor.
I like American humor because it's just like in your face. You know, it tells me when to laugh.
I like that more subtle.
Nah, I don't think so.
Wit's not for everybody.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Well, I guess we should read the next section.
All right.
Now that we've solved how the berries migrated from the other regions of the world to come and ferment into the Nile River and turn it into party water.
You know, I'd look up and see what kind of red-colored berries were to the east of Egypt or to the west. I'm not sure how the east wind works. If it's coming in from the east or going out to the east.
I don't think it works at all. I think it's crazy.
In the Bible.
It's not in the Bible. There's no migrating berries in the Bible turning waters red.
All right. We'll see. All right. Number 14.
Right.
14
through 20?
Yeah.
All right.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big chunk. Okay.
But that's okay. I got a truncated version underneath it.
Sure.
The locust came upon all the land of Egypt and settled on the whole country of Egypt.
Wait, the whole country?
Yeah, it says it, right?
Oh, even Goshen?
Okay, so, well, I don't know. Was Goshen, was Goshen, was Goshen just a little city inside Egypt, or
Yeah.
or was it its own little, you know what I mean?
A little both. Suburb,
I see.
Okay, all right. This is a plot hole. Don't worry. Just a little oversight.
Well, I don't know if it is a plot hole.
Well, clearly it means all the land of Egypt except for where the Israelites were.
Yeah. I mean, Goshen was set apart from Egypt, right?
I don't know if that's accurate.
Yeah, I think so. All right. The locusts came upon all the land of Egypt and settled on the whole country of Egypt except for Goshen. Such a dense swarm of locusts as had never been before, nor ever shall be again. They covered the surface of the whole land, so that the land was black, and they ate all the plants in the land and all the fruit of the trees that the hail had left. Nothing green was left on the trees, on the plants in the fields in the land of Egypt. Pharaoh hurriedly summoned Moses and Aaron and said, I have sinned against the Lord your God and against you. Do forgive my sins this once and pray to the Lord your God that at least he will remove the deadly thing from me. I don't know what that means. This deadly thing for me, not the deadly thing. It wasn't just like one weird. Okay. So he went out from Pharaoh and prayed to the Lord. The Lord changed the wind into a very strong west wind, which lifted the locusts and berries and drove them into the Red Sea.
I think you slipped there, buddy.
Not a single locust was left in all the country of Egypt, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let them go.
Yeah, interesting here. God has to harden Pharaoh's heart. Maybe he knew the locusts would have been enough to break him.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear at this point that Pharaoh's like, I'm out. Yeah, probably going to find somebody else and say, you be Pharaoh now.
Yeah, Pharaoh's ready to tap out.
So here's how it goes. Moses says, let my people go. Pharaoh says, sure, I see how bad it's getting over here. And then God is like, no, I still need to show everyone how much of a badass I am. And Moses shrugs, and the Pharaoh shrugs, and then funeral directors celebrate.
Yeah, I mean, the Undertaker's having a good time at least.
Wouldn't you hate to be that one guy who almost went into business with like his 3 other friends to start a funeral home, but his wife was like, you better not be spending our savings on another crazy scheme. And then the plagues come, and he's just like, you happy? Yeah.
Like that one guy that was in the office lottery pool, and then that one time he didn't pay for a ticket, and they all won.
Yeah,
that would be frustrating. Actually, that's kind of what happened to, remember Mike Pillow?
Yeah.
What's his real name? I forget.
Mike Pillow.
The crazy guy with the pillow company?
Mike Pillow, that's his name. Him and Tim Apple.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he basically like was on the edge of bankruptcy trying to start this company. And his wife basically left him over it. I mean, he is also crazy.
Right. Yeah, I was wondering if there were other reasons.
There's definitely other deciding factors. But the money obviously is a big part of it. Nevertheless, nothing really worked until he ended up getting a loan to do like an infomercial. And then the infomercial, because you know how infomercials are, took off. And it turned into obviously a multi-million-dollar company. But fact of the matter was, nobody liked his idea. His own family didn't even believe his idea.
That's because it's still very stupid.
Well, I mean, people like pillows.
I like my pillow. I don't need somebody else's. I mean, no, I don't like my pillow. I like my pillow that is not a my pillow.
But a lot of people like the my pillow.
I don't know what's so special about them, to be honest.
I mean, I don't think they're that special. I just think people like marketing. They get sucked in by marketing.
Here's what I'll say to that. Go, whoever's listening here, go buy a memory foam pillow, and you'll never need a pillow again.
That's what my pillow is.
Your pillow?
No, my pillow.
Your pillow.
No, the company My Pillow.
Oh.
The pillow's made by Mike Pillow.
Oh, really? They're memory foam?
The memory foam.
No.
Yeah, and you can adjust like
No.
how firm or soft you want them.
How?
But by the amount of foam that's in it.
Wow.
It's not one big chunk of foam. It's little tiny chunks of foam.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Whatever.
So it's adjustable. Now you want one, don't you?
Anyhow.
I'll get you a Mike Pillow. Don't worry.
Okay.
They're only like $400 or something.
You might be spending too much on them.
Just joking. We're not doing crazy.
I think they're like $20.
You could just go buy $10 worth of memory foam and cut it up into pieces and stuff it into a pillowcase and call it a day.
I'll do that.
You know.
Yeah. I'll undercut Mr. My Pillow and sell my own pillows.
Sure. Yeah. Anyways, speaking of pillows,
Yes.
when the locusts come in, sometimes they'll eat things that aren't green. Like if you have straw or hay or barley that's already been harvested,
Okay.
they can eat that as well.
Yes.
Which means they could have literally ate even the bedding. Remember, they had like bedding made from straw and whatnot. So this could have been a very uncomfortable stay all the way around. No food, no bedding, no pillows.
And you're breathing them in?
You're definitely not breathing in locusts.
Well, baby ones through the nostrils. But the point is, I get what you're saying. It's an ordeal.
It's an ordeal.
Yeah.
No one's having a good time.
Right. Except for the locusts.
I mean, the locusts are having a great time. Yeah. Let's move on to the next section.
Nope.
Oh, you got more?
Listen to this.
I'm listening.
All right. Let's see.
You really had something there.
All right. Can you scroll up, please?
Sure.
I mean, scroll down.
Well, I mean, you should. Oh yeah.
All right. Check out verse 15. They covered the surface of the whole land so that the land was black. What do you think that means? I'll tell you what it means. I'm not asking, I'm telling. It means that that's the plague of darkness that's yet to come.
So I was actually in agreement with that. So I think it seems plausible that they're suggesting that, not just the land, but the territory was so full of locusts that it was like a cloud covering.
Yeah.
And even the sun didn't get through.
I mean, they could cover the sun, right? Because clouds are able to cover the sun.
Enough.
And clouds are just like little things of water or whatever they are.
Yeah, I actually think that's kind of what they were getting at there. I agree. I don't think they're suggesting that the locusts were all black locusts. You know what I mean? Not to say that there couldn't be black locusts. There are some dark-colored locusts.
Wait, are we agreeing that the ninth plague was locusts as well? Is that what you're saying?
I have no idea what you're saying.
What are you saying?
So there's a black locust there. So they have black locusts. It's a real thing.
Not to be confused with a black lotus.
Yeah, very different thing.
Yes.
So, it's possible they could be referring to black locusts. It's possible that they could just be referring to the amount of locusts. Or it could be both.
What I'm saying is the locusts came, and they're like, wow, that's a lot of locusts. That's quite the plague. But then the locusts were everywhere, and so it was like it was dark.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, so we agree?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So this is one plague that turned into two.
Well, it seems that way.
Yeah.
It was one plague definitely turning into two, which would account for the next plague.
Yeah.
Which we're about to get into right now.
Yeah, wow.
Well, this really goes hand in hand,
It
actually.
does.
Down in verse 21.
Like it was meant to be.
Never guess what the next plague is going to be.
Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand toward heaven, so that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, a darkness that can be felt.
Notice that this plague came right after. There wasn't like another... Like Moses didn't go and back to Pharaoh.
Right. Yep.
Right? So God's tired of playing patty cakes.
I mean, there's a good reason he didn't go to Pharaoh, because it's possible this wasn't an actual plague. You
It
know what
was
I mean?
just a result of the locust.
Right, and so this is probably just one of the writers saying, "Well, I remember there was that other plague, even though it was the same one."
Possible.
I think listen, a darkness that can be felt. Can you feel darkness? No. Can you feel locusts?
I mean, if it's
yes.
depending on what kind of darkness it is, it might be a cold, like a cold darkness.
You can't feel cold. Don't be silly.
I think you can.
No.
Feeling cold is the thing that we do. That's why we would. Which reminds me,
Yeah.
are people going to wear clothes in heaven?
Probably not. Well,
They're just going to run around nude?
modesty is the result of sin, right?
Yeah.
No, this is true.
Yeah.
In the Garden of Eden, they were naked.
Yeah.
Until they realized they were naked.
Until they knew
Good.
right from wrong.
Yes.
Right? And then they realized that they were naked and they were ashamed because they knew right from wrong. I assume we're going to know right from wrong in heaven.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, if it's legitimately and objectively wrong to run around with your...
Is it, though?
I don't know. All I'm saying is I've listened to a lot of near-death experiences, and I've never, ever heard one say, like, oh, yeah, I saw these people in heaven and they were all naked.
Did they say they had clothing on, or did it just never come up?
Well, a lot of times it doesn't come up, but sometimes it does. They're never buck naked.
Huh.
Sometimes they're like orbs of light.
Yeah.
Instead of physical bodies like us.
Yeah.
But I had a sister that had a near-death experience, and she saw my dad, but he had clothes on. Right? It makes you wonder where they got the clothes from. And do you think that the clothing that my dad was wearing was similar to the clothing that they would have wore like in Moses' day? Obviously, they're different clothing, but you think that if you get to heaven and they are wearing clothes, that everybody's wearing clothes from their particular time period?
Well, I think what's happening maybe is that your father, he manifested himself in a way that your sister would be most like to understand, comprehend. You know what I mean?
I get that, actually. I get that a lot.
And I doubt anybody's wearing Moses time stuff.
Right.
I mean, they're probably all wearing suits and ties since that's the most modern fashion, right? If they were wearing,
I don't know
like
exactly what he was wearing, but she said that he was in when she had seen him, he was in his prime.
Okay.
Like when he was like in his late 20s, basically type prime, which is odd because she's never seen him that way. She's only ever seen him as an older gentleman. Because my dad, when I was born, my dad was already 45. So growing up with my dad, by the time we were old enough to really form memories, he was already, nearing 50. You know what I mean? So those are kind of our memories of him. I never got to see him in his prime.
Well, that's an interesting thing to say because you would have thought if it was a manifestation meant for her, it would have been, an age where she would have recognized him, if you know what I mean.
Well, she did recognize him.
Right, but I'm saying it would have made more sense if he looked older.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know.
I'm telling you.
I mean, whatever happened worked. I mean, she
I know,
recognized
I'm just
him.
telling you.
I mean, as long as you're recognizable.
But it has to ask the question, why did he look younger? Who chose that?
I have no idea.
Right, but I'm asking.
I mean, it could be just a figment of her imagination. We don't know.
I know, but I'm just asking the questions.
Do you think there are overweight people in heaven? Like, will you be skinny in heaven? Sorry to single you out here, but like, do you think that's a thing that happens?
I mean, this is muscle, but
it's all muscle. I know it is.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh. Muscle. All right. I'm
just curious. Like, what kind of existence are we gonna have?
Either we're not gonna have bodies at all, and it won't matter.
Actually, I think that's the case.
Or we will have bodies, but we'll just get to decide what we look like.
I'm down with that. Yeah, I want to do a week as Jabba the Hutt just for fun.
Okay, it's not as fun as it sounds, but
All right, what were we reading? Where did we leave off at?
I don't know. The ninth plague.
Yeah, we read
The darkness that could be felt because it was locusts.
we read 21, but we didn't read 22 through 29. That's a big chunk. 22 through 29.
A very large chunk.
All right. Well, then I won't prevent you from reading it.
Sweet. And then you know what we got after that, right?
Next chapter.
Next chapter.
Yeah, we're gonna squeeze 2 of them in.
Yes.
I mean, the best plague is so good it gets its own chapter just by itself. I mean, best is the
best of the worst.
the most flashy,
Worst of the best.
the most tragic.
It's whether I don't know if that's even true.
Well, it gets actually more than one chapter.
I'm just saying, you kill the firstborn. That's probably, who knows how many that really is.
I mean, they could have started with that. You know what I mean? Like that could have been, we're just going to unalive the firstborn, done with it. We don't need any of this showboating.
Well, it's just, I mean, think of the other plagues, the boils. I mean, that easily could have killed more people than just killing the firstborn.
That's a good point.
That
Do you think
feels more like a symbolic thing than...
Yeah, do you think people committed suicide? That kind of stuff?
I mean, if it was that bad,
I
probably,
If I was living in ancient Egypt and all these plagues came upon us and the waters turned to blood and the animals are all dying and now I've got boils head from toe, if I was, a little bit older, I'm like, well, I had a good run. I guess it's time to go now. Like, in the afterlife, I'm checking out.
Sounds like Job. Do you think Job was written to mirror the plagues?
No, Job was not written to mirror the plagues, but Job really got ripped off. That's a wild book. Crazy
No,
book.
Job didn't get ripped off. Everybody around him did. He was fine.
But he lost his whole family.
Yeah, but he was fine.
He was plagued with boils head to toe.
Well, in the end, he made out better than at the beginning, even, right?
Somebody came and murdered your wife, and then you got another wife later. Does that make up for all the trauma you just endured?
But if you get 2 wives,
I don't care how many wives. Is it going to replace your dead wife?
I'm just, you know what? We'll get into Job when we get into Job. All right, there's a lot of.
All right, about 2030, we'll dig into Job.
Yeah, great.
There's a lot of stuff happening in Job.
Yeah, there is, and it's all fake. All right.
Well, it's
a parable, right?
It's a parable. There we go. Yeah. All right, let's read 22 through 20.
So Moses stretched out his hand toward heaven, and there was dense darkness in all the land of Egypt for 3 days. People could not see one another, and for 3 days they could not move from where they were, because they didn't move at night before this, right? Well, I'm sure they moved around at night anyhow. They probably had candles and stuff like that. They weren't just confined to their houses, right? I mean, they're making it sound as though, oh, it's nighttime for 3 days. We can't do anything,
Well, plus the locusts were still there.
Right.
The locusts, it doesn't say that the locusts went away yet. So as far as we know, either the story got butchered and left a part out, or the locusts are still there just wreaking havoc on everybody. So if the locusts are there and now it's pitch black, like, I'm just going to take a rest. I'm going to stay inside. We're not going to go outside.
Yeah. All right. But all the Israelites had light where they lived.
Of course they did, yeah.
Then Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, "Go, serve the Lord. Only your flocks and your herds shall remain behind. Even your little ones may go with you." But Moses said, "You must also let us have sacrifices and burnt offerings to sacrifice to the Lord our God. Our livestock I'm good at this. Our livestock also must go with us. Not a hoof shall be left behind, for we must choose some of them to serve the Lord our God. And we will not know what to use to serve the Lord until we arrive there." But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he was unwilling to let them go. Then Pharaoh said to him, "Get away from me. Take care that you do not see my face again, for on the day you see my face, you shall die. Moses said, just as you say, I will never see you again. And he never did. The end.
Wait, how did he see his face now? It's dark.
I mean, I'm sure they have a bunch of candles, at least for the Pharaoh, right?
I guess so. They had to have candles, I would imagine. I'm just saying, if it's so bad that the land is full of locusts and it's pitch black out, interesting.
They were probably at least shoveling them out from the king area
that's true.
castle.
He had
Or something.
servants.
Yeah.
I agree with that one, actually. Yeah. So he didn't even tell Moses, or Moses didn't even tell Pharaoh about the best plague of all.
No.
He doesn't even know it yet.
Well, right.
Although we don't know if Moses knows about it yet either.
Oh. Moses never told the Pharaoh that his kid was going to die?
Not yet.
I mean, I assume he says it before it happens, though.
Yeah, there's going to be an announcement.
I have no reason to believe Moses knew at this point.
Right. But check this out.
You'd almost think he might say, hey, seriously. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That does bring up a good point. Do you think there were any children living in Egypt that were a product of the Israelites and the Egyptians mating?
Obviously.
Which means some of the children that pass away would have been also Israelite children.
Well, yes. Or maybe they were protected.
Or, I mean, it's possible that the Israelites knew what was going to happen, and then they said, hey, let me go get Junior for the night. We'll stay over here for the night, just to be safe. But although the whole blood on the doorstep thing, or the door post lintel, in order to not get murdered, is a whole discussion in its own right. We'll get there when we get there. But let's read the next chapter.
All right, we're done.
We're not done. We got to read the next chapter.
I mean, we're done with this part.
Well, we are. Yeah,
so I'm saying we're done.
Well, I mean, yeah,
but not done with. Both.
We're not done, but we're done with that chapter, and we're on to the final plague warning. Dun, 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 dun. We don't actually get the final plague entering in chapter 11, and chapter 12 is going to be instructions. And I don't think the plague actually comes until chapter 13.
Okay, that's a bit of a tease.
A little bit of a tease, but listen, it's drama.
It's drama.
You can't just listen. This is the crescendo of the narrative. This is the best part. You really have to build up to it. You think they're just going to let Ross and Rachel get together in the middle of season 1? Obviously, they could never do such a thing.
Of course not.
You gotta draw that out.
Right. That makes sense. That's a good analogy.
All right, so let's have it. Verse 1.
All right. Now that we know we have plenty of time, I'm going to go nice and slowly.
It's 8 o'clock.
I just said plenty of time.
Want to go to a 10 or?
Yeah. We'll do another chapter.
Let's not.
The Lord said to Moses, I will bring one more plague upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterward, he will let you go from there. Indeed, when he lets you go, he will drive you away. And then Moses says, sure, God, this will definitely be the one that convinces Pharaoh, not like the other 9 plagues you said would convince him. No, I'm sure this one is different.
Good point. At what point does Moses be like, I don't know if this God knows what he's doing? Or plague number 10 and Pharaoh still ain't let us go. How many of these are we going to do?
Yeah.
Now, it's also important to recognize that up until this moment, we're not told that the locusts have gone away.
Right.
It was only dark for 3 days, so we can assume the darkness is gone.
Yeah.
If the darkness was a result of the locusts, then we could assume the locusts are gone as well. But if they're not connected, then we still kind of have to assume they've got a locust problem.
Yeah.
But how long do locusts live for?
It's a good question.
Because I don't think they live all that long, actually.
I bet they live like a month.
3 to 5 months.
Oh no.
Oh, they could have locusts there for quite some time unless God takes them away.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They'd probably start starving to death pretty soon, right?
If they eat everything.
Right, yeah. Yeah. So would the people, though, but you know what I mean.
They could turn into carnivores and start eating all the dead livestock.
Maybe.
Wait, did it say in the prior chapter that there was a west wind that took them away?
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Yeah, you're right. Now that we look at it, because it might be my faulty memory. So he went out from Pharaoh and prayed to the Lord, and the Lord changed the wind, so a very strong west wind, and lifted the locusts and drove them out to the Red Sea. Okay, so the locusts are gone. My memory is faulty. We literally just read it. My memory, I already forgot it.
Me too.
Old age.
Old age. So, when did that happen?
It was in chapter 10.
Was that before or after the darkness?
That was just before the darkness, and somehow when we were reading it, it just didn't.
Right.
It didn't register in my head, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we got distracted talking about your insane berry theory.
I mean, it's very plausible, but you know.
The migrating berries.
I mean, I knew there were going to be doubters, but I think it's still possible that they were the same plague.
I think it's insane, but you can have it.
No. I mean, the locusts and the darkness.
Oh yeah. I don't think so.
Well, no, because there'll be a lot of locusts, and so people are writing about it, and then other people were like, "Man, it's so dark," and then.
Oh, you mean yeah. If we're comparing the biblical account versus the possible naturalistic historical account.
Yeah.
Yeah, the naturalistic historical account might combine those two plagues together. And the Bible may have just kind of embellished it, as you would say. Made it more dramatic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, 10's a good round number. You don't.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with 9 plagues? Nothing with 9 plagues.
Right.
6 plagues? Get out of here. You gotta have 10 plagues.
7 would be good, right?
7 would have been a great number.
Yeah.
But here we are at 10.
Or 3.
I mean, 3's okay. Yeah.
Those are like numbers in the Bible, right? That mean like a lot, right? Isn't 7 the number of God?
7 is the number of the gods.
Okay.
Because they were on the sexagesimal system, and so everything was divided by 60 rather than 100, like in our. And you can divide 60 by 1 through 6, and always have a whole number. 7 was the first number in the sexagesimal system that when you divided, you actually had a remainder. And they just thought, well, it must be a divine number since it can't actually be a divisor of 60.
Okay.
And so because of, the way they conceived of the world way back in the day, most scholars believe that's how they ended up. Not just the Israelites, but a lot of the ancient cultures believe that 7 was a magic number because it's the first number in mathematics that was not divisible within their mathematical system.
I'm sorry, but why would that have been their mathematical system?
Why did they divide by 60?
Yes, it could have been anything, right?
Well, they counted using the creases in their fingers. So we do like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Mm-hmm.
and we're on base 10, right? But they didn't. They counted on the creases. The 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12. So they had a system of counting of 12s, and then that topped out. Like their 60 was our 100, and it had to do with the lunar cycle as well.
Okay, well, then here's a problem.
Okay.
Why weren't there 6 plagues?
Well,
because we look at it as though 10 is perfect. But in reality, they wouldn't care about the number 10, right?
No, they wouldn't have cared about 10, no. It wouldn't mean anything to them.
In fact, there should have been 12 plagues.
There could have been 12.
I mean, there should have been.
I mean, there's maybe.
Yeah.
It might not have been a purposeful decision to do 10. It might just happen to be that God wanted to accomplish a few things, and it turned out to be 10.
And it turned out to matter to us.
I don't think it does.
I mean, as far as numbers go.
I don't think it mattered to me.
The number 10 is a very nice round number. No, it is. Right, that's what I just said. I'm saying God did it for the people back in the day, and back in the day, they were all like, sixes are the way to go.
Are you suggesting that God is prophesying about the metric system?
No.
Because metric is a base 10.
Sure.
It's a prophecy.
Yeah, okay.
It's a prophecy. We solved it. Okay. Prophecy about the coming of the base 10 numerical system.
Well, that's impressive if that is. Yeah.
I mean, I dig it.
All right, let's dig it.
All right, let's read it. What are we reading? Did we already read verse 1?
Yeah,
we did.
Yes.
Yeah, no. Verse 2 and verse 3.
Do you think when Jesus was washing everybody's feet, that was a prophecy of the imperial system? Oh. Okay. Imperial units. Feet. All right. It took a while. And all right, I'm going to go now. Tell the people that every man is to ask his neighbor, and every woman is to ask her neighbor for objects of silver and gold. The Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, Moses himself was a man of great importance in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh's officials, and in the sight of the people. So what do you suppose the Lord gave the people favor means? Because to me, it sounds like it's saying that God hypnotized them into giving away their gold and silver.
Yeah. Well, my theory was that this passage is more of a summary than anything else. My theory is that because of the plagues, because of what they witnessed, the people were delighted to see them go. Don't just go. Here, take our silver and gold and get the hell out of here. Don't come back. Just no more plagues.
Or they saw that Goshen hadn't been affected, and they were very much affected.
Right.
And
you think any of the Egyptians migrated south into Goshen during the plagues just to get relief?
Well, I don't know. But
that sure seems like a big old loophole.
Well, I mean, it would be a loophole if they actually did it, but I don't know if it would be a loophole because, I mean, I feel like they'd also probably have to get in with God too, right? Get in with the Jewish religion.
No, they can just walk.
Well, yeah. Oh.
There's streets, roads. You just walk into Goshen. Oh my God, look, there's no plagues here. Let's chill out. I mean, if that were the case, point. You would think a lot of people living near the border of Goshen would be like, "Oh shit!" I mean, I'm gonna go hang out over here on account of the fact there's no damn plagues.
But nobody was living near the border because Goshen was a bit of a ways.
I don't think so.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
We've seen maps, and Goshen is kind of a bit of ways away from Egypt.
No, it says that the Israelites were getting stuff from their neighbors, the Egyptians. They were mixed with some of the Egyptians. Like there's blurred lines between Goshen and Egypt.
I mean, but on the map, it's not blurred.
Yeah, because they're both in the same country.
Right.
Egypt is a country.
Yeah, but Goshen is pretty far away from it.
It's not, though.
I think it is.
I'll pull up the map.
All right. I've seen the map.
I don't think you have.
It's like it's quite a bit of a walk, at least a couple hours.
I don't think so.
All right.
You'd think be some good maps on the interwebs, but
I think
not much. That map's not right. This map's got Goshen right where Egypt
on top.
On top there.
It's not on top, right?
This one's got it too, right there. Goshen's up in Upper Egypt.
Are they wrong or?
I think we probably were wrong. This has got Goshen up north as well. Okay, so Goshen is in Egypt.
I thought it was to the south.
See, this one's got it southward down here.
Oh, so they don't know.
Apparently, no one knows.
They don't know.
But here's where Ramses' storehouse was.
Okay.
And we know that the Israelites built the storehouses of Ramses.
Okay.
So maybe it was up north. Listen, the fact of the matter is, Goshen was part of the land of Egypt. That's all there is to it. So there was nothing that was preventing the Israelites or the Egyptians from just like sauntering into Israelite territory to avoid the plagues.
I don't know if that's true. Israelites and the Egyptians look a lot different, right? I assume the Israelites would be like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Get back over there and start suffering from the plagues."
I don't think it would have been like that.
All right, I don't know.
Never know. Never know.
Never know. I don't know. I'd probably like to see a better map than that stuff, you know? Just because I remember I thought I saw a map where Egypt was at the top and then, you know, a couple hours walk, there was Goshen. Because, I mean, they needed to be separated from the Egyptians quite a bit, or else the Egyptians would see all the, you know, stuff they're doing with the animals, right?
Bible map.
I mean, the Egyptians didn't like that stuff, and so now you're saying they're over it, and now they're just commingling with them? They're just like, let me know when you're going to do a sacrifice. I'm going to close my eyes.
Obviously, land was divided. There was had to take a journey to get one other.
I think that is what it means.
Well, not at all.
Well, I think.
Living in different sections.
Yeah. But it wasn't different sections of town. It was Egypt.
This Bible map here in my archaeological study Bible.
Okay.
I don't know why they did NIV for it. Has Goshen.
Show me.
Right where the storehouses of Ramses was. Ramses and Pithoth.
Okay. Where's
there? It's all of Egypt. Can't see it off.
Where's Goshen?
In Egypt. I don't know. Goshen is in Egypt. It's a part of Egypt.
I know, but it's like I don't know, like the outskirts.
It's literally in Egypt proper.
What's
Why do you think Ramses had his storehouses built there?
In Goshen?
Yeah.
He didn't. They were in Egypt.
On the outskirts of Goshen.
Why would he have storehouses in Goshen?
Pithom, Ramses, right in Goshen. Goshen was a part of Egypt.
So Egypt and then Goshen farther down.
Well, Egypt is this whole territory. It is. Egypt is a territory. It's not a city.
I guess.
It's like Israel wasn't a city. It was a territory.
I feel like Egypt is like, you know, yeah.
It's a country now.
Okay. But it wasn't a country back then.
Yes, it was.
Oh, and it is.
Yeah.
It's a country now and back then.
Yes, it was always very large.
Then why did you say it like it's a country now? It made me confused.
Because we have countries now. They didn't have countries back then.
What do they have?
They would just call it a land. The land of Egypt.
Oh.
The land of Israel.
Oh.
So Goshen was in Egypt.
All right. Fine. So.
All right. Anyway, let's read.
All right.
Did we do 2 and 3 already?
Yes.
We want 4 and 5.
But I wrote so many things there.
You did, and you didn't read any of it.
I didn't. All right. Yeah, so.
This is your first time reading your notes?
All right, so we're talking about why the Egyptians gave them the gold and silver. So you can almost imagine he'd have to hypnotize them, considering I can't think of any good reason why the Egyptians would give them gold, unless it was somehow known to the Egyptians that the Jewish God was in charge of all his previous plagues. And they were so scared that, they were like, just take whatever you want, please. Just let us live for one more day. So I guess in a way, God kind of did give them favor.
That was my thought.
Because he's like, hey, maybe give my children some gold and maybe I won't kill you all. So it's kind of like the mob making people pay for their protection services.
That's a point there. It'd sure be terrible if someone came and shot the place up for the right price. We can make sure that never happens. That's a good point.
I mean, it felt like maybe they were trying to bribe the Israelites, or
Well,
the
maybe they were.
Israelite God, if you will, or yeah. I mean, I really do have a hard time believing they were like, yes, please take our gold.
Right. It's probably more like, get out of here, take some gold and some
please don't hurt
other
us.
stuff with
please
you.
Please don't hurt us.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. Just a thought.
That was my thought too. Verses 4.
Moses said, thus says the Lord, about midnight, give or take, I will go out through Egypt. Every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. Is he saying this to the Pharaoh?
Yeah, it seems that way. The prior passage says, tell the people, every man to ask his neighbor, which is what I said. Ask his neighbor, and every woman to ask her neighbor objects of silver and gold, because they're living among the Egyptians.
Yes.
Right. So he should be talking to the people right now, not yet to Pharaoh.
Oh. So to the Israelites or to the Egyptians and Israelites? All right. So Moses said, thus says the Lord, about midnight I will go out through Egypt. Every firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh, who sits on his throne, to the firstborn of the female slave who is behind the handmill, and all the firstborn of the livestock. So even the children of the slaves will be killed.
Yeah, as if they had anything to do with it. Also, how are they killing the firstborn of the livestock? The livestock is already dead.
All right.
They're gone. I have no idea how these livestock have so many lives. That's why they call it livestock.
You did it funny.
Yeah.
That'd be like the fourth time they were killed.
This is, one of those plot holes. Plot holes. Yeah, it's interesting though that they have to tell the Israelites what's happening first. Obviously, they need to know. But the way things are going down is God is saying, go tell the Israelites to go collect the silver and gold from the Egyptians so that they can get out of here and I can kill all these babies. Although, some of them are adults too.
Right. We always think of it as just babies, but there's literally no reason to think that.
No. Young and old.
Yeah.
If you're firstborn, you're done.
Yeah. I think in all the movies, it's always just babies dying. But how many babies would have actually died compared to teenagers, adults,
Question, I don't know.
They're the firstborn.
The firstborn is the firstborn.
If it was the lastborn, that might be different,
right.
Yeah. But I imagine the firstborn is usually not going to be a baby. I don't know.
Especially if it's the firstborn of multiples.
Yeah.
Or, they could be much older.
Right.
Either way, they're done.
I am imagining the Pharaoh's firstborn was not a baby.
I don't think so. Although, if I remember in the movies, was. Although, okay, but listen. The firstborn of the father or of the mother, because a lot of times you have multiple wives. You might have a firstborn with one wife and a firstborn with another wife. Both those women have firstborn children. Do both of those children get executed?
Well, I imagine it's based on inheritance, right?
typically in the
Which
ancient
one
world,
is
yeah.
actually legally the first one? First one.
Right, yeah. Traditionally, yeah, it would.
Otherwise, there are gonna be a lot of deaths, right?
So many.
Yeah.
Especially think of the Pharaoh, because he's probably got a whole harem of women,
Right.
which means he's got 100 babies about to get executed.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nuts. Not that this isn't already nuts. It's
Do you think STDs were common among harems in the ancient world?
100%.
Had to be.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm sure the Pharaoh had gonorrhea, syphilis, crabs.
Yeah.
Probably had to hire someone to scratch him for him.
Although, to be fair, if they're taking virgins into the harem and not any non-virgins,
Okay.
then it would be much safer. But a lot of people don't realize that, but a lot of ancient harems had women that were non-virgins. In fact, some of them even had widows.
I assumed that most of them were not virgins. Actually, I never gave that any thought.
Oh no! I mean, a lot of them would have been. Yeah. Women were prized for their virginity. Like if you were building a harem, that's what you wanted. You wanted to bring in another young virgin girl. If you had one that wasn't a virgin, it wasn't on purpose. Typically, it was because you met somebody that was just so beautiful that you had to have her. And for example, this happens with Abigail in the Bible. Remember King David's second or third wife, Abigail?
No.
Married to Nabal?
Sure don't.
And then after Nabal dies, David's like, well, since your husband's not alive anymore, how about you come shack up with me?
That's great.
So,
yeah.
she became part of the wife harem.
I'll say this again, a man after God's heart.
He really was something special.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's keep reading.
Oh, there's more?
Oh, yeah. We just begun. Yeah. Verse 6.
I think there's only 12 verses in this.
Yeah, it's not that long. Yeah.
Then there will be a loud cry throughout the whole land of Egypt, such as has never been or will ever be again. I wonder if this is true, that there has never been such a loud cry in Egypt since then. I mean, have there been any wars, mass deaths, or what have you? So I checked, and as it turns out, just like every other country that has ever existed, they were involved in numerous conflicts where people died. So it's hard to believe killing a few firstborn children would cause greater misery than all that.
Oh, this affected everybody.
What's that?
I mean, this affected damn near everybody.
So does every war.
But imagine there's 2.5 million people here.
Right.
Okay. I don't know. Let's imagine that 1 out of every 10 is a firstborn.
Okay. So 250,000.
Right. So let me get about 250,000 people dying all in one night the same time.
Okay.
It'd be like dropping an atom bomb in the middle of a city,
It couldn't have been that many people, though. I mean, really, you said 2.5 million. So how many of those were Egyptians and not Israelites?
Well, I mean, according to history, we don't fully know, but that number that I'm giving is for the Egyptians.
Okay.
But that's a generous number. It could have been much lower. Either way, even if it's 100,000, 100,000 in one night is really big.
Yeah, I guess that's. Yeah. I don't know if we've ever had any in history, somebody, 100,000 people die in one night. Have we?
I mean, when we drop bombs.
Well, yeah, but I'm wondering if even at that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, historically speaking, not too many times that would have happened.
I mean, just in one day.
Right, in one day,
not
something that you would expect without modern technology. You think about warfare in the ancient world; it was done slowly and by the sword.
Right. Yeah, I guess that's true. They would have no idea how they were going to even kill that many people in one day, right?
Right.
They'd be like, my arm is getting tired.
especially in ancient warfare. A lot of times, the armies that are going against each other, a lot of times, when it was that lopsided, a lot of them would just forfeit. In fact, some of them, like when the army's coming through, some of them would just come out and forfeit without even fighting. And we're like, listen, we don't want no part of this.
Yeah.
Whatever, we'll pay the tribute.
Yeah.
Just leave us alone.
Yeah, so it says, let's see, it was about 70 to 80,000 people instantly killed.
I'd say so.
Wow, that's crazy.
You trust Chat GTP as much as you do the message?
Maybe. I think that's a fair comparison, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. All right, let's.
Was that a bad thing? Because it sounded like you were trying to insinuate something.
I agree. The information from Chat GTP is roughly synonymous with the quality of translation by the Message Bible.
Yeah. Except,
I say this in the most Christian way possible. Just absolute dog shit. Terrible. Not good for anything.
well, I say this in the most Christian way possible. I think there's a good, it has a good place. It's for people who are just trying to get into it and really can't understand the other versions. I mean, when I was growing up,
What about the international?
I'm sure.
I've got one right here. This is easy to read.
I'm sure it's not as easy as the message.
Doesn't have any wild paraphrases. See what it says for Exodus.
Sure. Probably has all them these and thous still.
No, definitely not. Exodus 11, verse 7 says, actually, I wonder what it says about this. But not even a dog will bark at the Israelites or their animals. Then you will know that the Lord treats Israel differently from Egypt. Just standard English.
I'm sure it is, but I'm just saying, I bet the message is
Trash.
Garbage. What was that one again? No, I mean,
Worthless.
All right. You said Exodus chapter what?
It's right in front of us. Chapter 11, verse.
Well, then I should. No.
Let's just read the thing.
No.
Nobody cares about the message.
I am a person.
It's really only good as like barbecue material. You can put it.
All right. So which one did you just read?
I just read Exodus 11:9.
All right. Well, let me do it. God said to Moses.
I did 11:7.
Oh, what are you doing to me? Now I gotta do this again.
You don't have to do that at all, actually.
Yeah. So, how's okay, forget it. I can't make this work.
Fantastic. Let's read the passage.
Put me on the spot. I should just bring the Message Bible with me.
I think you should never read it in your entire life ever again.
All right, let's see.
7 and 8.
7 and 8. But not a dog shall growl at any of the Israelites, not at people, not at animals, so that you may know that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. See, it was Egypt and Israel together. Egypt. Then all these officials of yours shall come down to me and bow low to me, saying, leave us, you and all the people who follow you. After that, I will leave. And in hot anger, he left Pharaoh. That was Moses?
What?
What? What?
Were you saying something?
I thought that was Moses saying that to the Pharaoh.
Who do you think was going to say it?
Wait.
Did you not read it while you're reading it?
No, I can't. I just.
You read it? You don't know what it says? Want me to read it for you?
Yes.
But not a dog shall growl at any of the Israelites, not at people, not at animals, so that you may know that the Lord makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. Then all these officials of yours shall come down to me and bow down to me, saying, leave us, you and all the people who follow you. After that, I will leave. And in hot anger, he left Pharaoh.
So God left in hot anger?
No.
Because it says right here, all these officials of yours shall come down to me and bow low. They're clearly not bowing to Moses, right?
I actually suspect. Where's my mouse? There we go. I actually suspect that is the case.
But you're not supposed to bow to anybody other than God, right?
Moses said, "Thus saith the Lord." So Moses is delivering a message.
Okay.
Said, "Thus saith the Lord." About midnight, I will go through, so on and so forth. And then this is still Moses saying. Moses says, "But not a dog shall bark." Blah blah blah. And then all these officials of yours shall come down to me. So this is where it gets muddy, because this is clearly Moses speaking to Pharaoh, but it's out of order because he's not speaking to Pharaoh yet. He's speaking to the Israelites, right? Because it says, then there will be a loud cry throughout the whole land of Egypt, such as never been or will be again. Okay, fantastic. But then we have a weird thing. It says, but not a dog will growl. Fantastic. So on and so forth. Then all of these officials of yours. Wait, what do you mean all these officials?
Right. The Israelites don't have officials.
He's clearly got a problem here with the chronology of this story.
Well, okay.
The sequencing.
How do we fix that?
I don't think it's fixable.
Oh.
Listen to what the next verse says. It says, the Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh will not listen to you in order that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. So it's not the Pharaoh talking. Moses talking for the Pharaoh?
What?
Yeah.
I'm a little confused, but that's...
Well, Moses is talking.
About normal for me.
In verse 4, Moses is instructed by God to do a bunch of stuff. It says, Moses said, thus says the Lord. So Moses is delivering Yahweh's word.
All right, so God's now saying, about midnight, I was reading that.
Yeah, so God is saying this
about
through
midnight,
Moses.
I, God, will go throughout Egypt.
Right.
Every firstborn shall die. But God is saying, and then there will be a loud cry throughout Egypt, and everybody will, not be happy. And then he says, God is saying, but not a dog shall growl at any of the Israelites. And then he's saying, then all these officials of yours, Pharaoh, shall come down to me, God, and bow low to me, saying,
right.
And the officials are saying, leave us. And they're saying that to the person speaking, which would be God, not Moses, even though God is relaying it to Moses to relay it to somebody.
So this is a personification. Is it a double personification? So Moses is relaying the message of the Lord, and that message from God is not a dog shall growl at any of the Israelites, not at people, not at animals, so that you may know, Pharaoh, that the Lord, me, makes a distinction between Egypt and Israel. Then all these officials of yours, Pharaoh, shall come down to me, Yahweh, and bow to me, saying, leave us, you, and all the people who follow you. Isn't it weird that they would say, leave us, as though God has a presence that's not omnipresent?
What's really weird is God is plural, right?
The problem is it says, after that, I will leave. So if this is Yahweh talking through Moses, then we would expect that this is a strange thing to say. But look at the ending. It says, and in hot anger, he left Pharaoh, meaning it must be Moses.
Well, so he's still speaking for God, and God is saying, then all these officials of the pharaohs, which is you, because we're talking to you, Pharaoh, so come down to me, God, and bow low to me, saying, leave us, God, leave you and all the people who follow you. So leave us, God, and the Israelites. and then it closes the quotation there, and then all these officials are.
Let me read it from the
Because
International Children's
he's
Bible.
speaking, because he spoke what God was going to say, but in between God speaking, they're talking about what the Pharaoh and the officials are going to say. And so it closes that off. And then God says, after that, I, God, will leave. And then that's done. And now we bring it back up to Moses.
Right, and then
who
Moses leaves.
Is in hot anger, he left Pharaoh. Okay.
But it didn't actually say, there wasn't a section here where God instructed Moses to go talk to Pharaoh yet.
No?
No. Because he says, tell the people that every man is to ask his neighbor, so on and so forth. So he didn't say anything about going to Pharaoh yet.
Right.
And then it starts out in verse 4, Moses said, thus saith the Lord,
so
about
he was
midnight.
Talking to the Israelites, and now he's talking to Pharaoh, but no, we didn't see an intervening clause.
Exactly. He was instructed to talk to Israel, to give the instructions, and then at the end of verse 8, somehow he's leaving a conversation with Pharaoh.
Okay. All right.
So, and we've talked about this before, and I feel like if there was a good case in Exodus so far, this would be the prime example of just somebody being sloppy with the storyline, right? Like, you can't imagine that if Moses wrote this, he sat down and wrote this sloppily about his own lived experience. Because remember, if Moses wrote it, he's telling his own story.
Right.
No way he was going to make this mistake, right?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
It's just, just a little bit of sloppiness.
Yeah.
Nothing to write home about. Let's continue reading.
It's interesting they say in hot anger he left Pharaoh, because I guess we know Moses has a temper, huh? Because he did kill that one guardsman or what have you, right?
Well, maybe. Let me see what it actually says. 1 sec. Because it's a common turn of phrase in Hebrew to refer to somebody's hot nose as anger. So I'm curious if it was just a translation decision. Yeah. So we've got the word nose in here.
Okay.
So it's probably referring to his nose. This is the word right here for nose. His nose.
So he had a red nose?
Yeah, afka would be his nose. It's translated as hot anger. So that's just one of those really fun Hebrew idioms to keep an eye on, because like in English we wouldn't just say like Moses' hot nose, because nobody would know what that meant. But it's a pretty common Hebrew turn of phrase.
And it means hot anger?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so that's what it means then, right?
Yeah, so we've got a combination of
a little bit of a temper. Right.
So the phrase we have here is Bakari Afka, which means his hot nose. So he just left in anger, basically. There's a couple other passages too that talk about the long nose and the wide nose.
Okay.
Referring to somebody's disposition. Whereas if you have a long nose, you're calm. If you have a wide nose, you're like, very upset. There's some interesting emotions expressed in the Hebrew Bible surrounding people's noses. But that's neither here nor there. So the dude's pissed off.
I don't know why.
I mean, because he was trying to do a whole narrative, and God decided to put plot holes in it.
I guess, yeah.
Oh boy. Let's read verse 9.
The Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh will not listen to you, in order that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. Wait, didn't God just say this would be the plague to finally cause Pharaoh to let them leave? And now God is saying, yeah, Pharaoh won't change his mind, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I got more cool stuff to do.
Yep.
This passage feels out of place?
It's out of place. Yes. It is out of place.
All right.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been there. Somebody made a mistake. Because
Okay.
this is the last plague.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a scribal error too. It could have said something at one point. It could have said, "The Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh has not listened to you in order that my wonders may be multiplied." And you know what I mean? So it could be out of place. It could be a scribal error. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Because you could see it if it was talking about the past, why it would be saying that.
But we'll never know.
Unless we discover new manuscripts. Although I bet the Greek Septuagint here. Well, I can look up what the Greek Septuagint did with it.
Do it, man.
Sometimes the Greek Septuagint has a way of like smoothing out phrases from the Hebrew text that either didn't make sense or they thought was an error. That's something that happened. All right, so let's see, 28. Here we go. We want 11, and we are in verse 9. The chapters is yeah, the chapter divisions must be different because I'm looking at chapter 11 and there's instructions for the Passover. You go back one chapter. Moses went forth from Pharaoh with wrath. The Lord said to Moses, Pharaoh will not hearken to you, that I may greatly multiply my signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. So they stayed with the same phrasing. It's talking about the future.
Okay. Well, that's not good, right?
Yeah, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
I think we're going to read verse 10.
You know what you should do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you anyhow. You should, take Genesis, Exodus, what have you, and kind of cut them up and put them together where you think they should actually be. You know what I mean?
Well, some people have done that.
Okay.
They've done reconstructions of the various editorial works, like the Yahwist and the Elohist and whatnot, and reconstructed the various texts.
And?
Oh, they're really great.
Oh, okay.
You can see some of it. Richard Elliott Friedman did some of that with the first 5 books of Moses. Definitely recommend getting it. The Bible with Sources Revealed by Richard Elliott Friedman. Good book. All right, let's end it on our last verse.
Let's do it.
We did 2 whole chapters.
Wow-y. Moses and... Okay. Had to use something, right?
That's our only sound effect for the night.
All right. Moses and Aaron performed all these wonders before Pharaoh, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he would not let the Israelites go out of his land.
See, this is the confusing thing to me is it's reading as though Moses just had an encounter with Pharaoh.
Yeah.
And warned him about all these things. And then Pharaoh was like, nah, I'm not going to let you go. But that just got cut out. It's not included. We have to infer from the text that event happened.
Is this a weird way to end a chapter?
Well, I mean, there's no such thing as chapter in the original text.
Okay.
Like, we added those.
Okay, but they always seem like they're supposed to end at the end of, where they end. Whatever.
I agree. It's not a great ending. But what are you gonna do? Some of the chapter endings just weren't they weren't good, but they got standardized, and that's what we have now. Too late to change it because now if you say Exodus 11:10, that has to be the same across the
Right.
board, or else.
Yeah.
And like if you read the Hebrew Bible, both the Hebrew Bible and the Greek Septuagint, when you're reading from them, they have different chapters and verses. They're close, but they're not exact. So like when you're referencing something from those works, you have to be careful that if you're going to quote it in English, you have to say this is the actual number in like the Masoretic text or in Septuagint.
Mm.
So it's beneficial for everybody to have the same numbers, even if.
You wonder why the guy didn't just keep up with them. You know what I mean?
Like, keep changing them.
Well, yeah. Well, he must have thought his system was better, right? Or maybe he didn't know how to read Greek.
Well, there was more than one chapter and verse division before it got finalized. There wasn't just one guy doing it. I think it first was popularized in the 1400s. Was it Stephen Langton, maybe, correctly?
Before then, when people read the Bible, there were no chapter divisions.
Yeah. Who created the Bible verses? The first was a French printer, Robert Estienne. But there was somebody else actually who gets credited for it. Stephanus. Yeah, Stephanus got a little bit of credit for that. And also the chapter divisions were commonly used today were developed by Stephen Langton. That's what I thought. Yeah, Archbishop of Canterbury. So yeah, I mean, there's been a couple editions of it, but I mean, eventually they got standardized.
Wait.
So then next week, we get to read about the preparations for Passover.
Oh boy!
And then
it's 50 verses.
Well, the festivals are some of the most important parts of Israelite culture.
It's 50 verses.
I mean, have you ever been to a Passover meal?
50 verses.
Got to do it right.
50 verses.
Yeah, long one.
Oh boy, that is a long one.
Who doesn't love a little bit of lamb?
A lot of people probably.
Some unleavened bread.
I was at your wedding and they were serving lamb.
Because they're Egyptian.
And I'm like, what is this? And they're like, lamb. And I'm like, here you go, Valerie.
You didn't try it?
No.
Oh, so good.
I ain't going to eat things.
It's like melting in your mouth.
Ugh.
Oh, so good.
Lamb isn't for eating. It's for
delicious
petting and, being cute.
It was so good that, like, according to the biblical narrative, God decided to equate his son to a lamb.
I don't think that's what it was related to.
I mean, they both got sacrificed. Both of them got, cut up.
If you need to stop talking now.
Only one of them got barbecued.
Yeah.
Although technically Jesus did descend into hell for 3 days.
You know what we're going to do? We're going to stop talking now.
So technically they both got barbecued.
Oh no.
Same.
All right. So that's great.
All right, I think that's the end of the end of the stream here for this week.
Yeah,
next week we're going to do everyone's favorite chapter of Exodus, and we're going to go all over the festival regulations, and we'll probably get rabbit trailed on how Exodus chapter 12 is not a prophecy, no matter what the New Testament says. Yeah, because it's just instructions for the Passover. Yet the New Testament, the book of John, seems to think in chapter 19 that it's prophetic. I disagree with that, obviously.
Okay.
I think prophecy is actual prophecy. I don't believe in accidental prophecy. I don't believe that you can just take any passage of the Bible you want and convert it to a prophecy. If that's the case, I've got a bunch of prophecies that I fulfilled.
Yeah?
Never gone over this with you?
I don't know, probably. But we go over so many things.
I know.
Who's right there? You were ready?
I've got lists of them. I got another list somewhere. I don't know what happened to it.
Huh.
But Isaiah 59 says, I will bring forth descendants.
Okay.
So apparently I fulfilled Isaiah 59,
Good job.
right? See, if we can convert anything to a prophecy and strip it from its context, then
Yeah.
there's no telling what we can call a prophecy. Anything's a prophecy, and anybody can fulfill it. Prophecy is a very specific genre, you know. All right, we'll get there next week.
We'll argue about.
We'll fight it out next week.
Yeah.
All right, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. We did 2 whole chapters. I'm proud.
I'm sorry it was so boring or sobering, and you learned
Definitely sobering.
Sobering.
Very sobering.
Sobering.
When the babies get killed, it's gonna be really sobering.
Yes. Yes.
All right, we'll be back next week. Until then, have fun reading the book.
Keep watching the skies.
The skies?
It's
Wait.
not from The Simpsons.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah.